Leaders announced the largest infusion of jobs in state history. Amazon plans to create 5,000 high-paying jobs at a new site in Nashville. We spoke to University of Tennessee President Joe DiPietro about the announcement, and he says it could lead to a partnership between Amazon at UT in the future.
To do research, to ask each other questions, to figure out how to make the whole enterprise around web-based sales even more prolific and better.
And DiPietro says that kind of partnership would benefit both the UT Haslam College of Business and Amazon as well.
And Governor Bill Haslam says he's excited about the jobs Amazon is bringing to the volunteer state. In an interview with the governor, he highlighted the economic gains during his 8 years in office.
We're going to end with close to 500,000 net new private sector jobs in the 8 years. Unemployment has hit historic lows. Now, to be honest, the economy has been in a comeback. We came in at the tail end of the recession. It was over and we were just starting to come out, but unemployment was 10, 11%. You know, it's been 3.5.
Coming up at 10:30, hear from Governor Haslam about what Amazon's decision means for the state of Tennessee.